Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing the SBA document that I just found on their website. It is titled White Paper, Risk Awareness and Lessons Learned from Audits and Inspections of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and Other Disaster Loan Lending. So if we have questions, we're going to answer some of those questions and why the SBA is doing what they're doing. So if this is the first time you're tuning into my channel, my name is Chawanne Burns. Please click that subscribe button and that like button. This document published by the SBA Inspector General is not easy to find. I was fooling around on their website and I stumbled on it. It's actually dated for April the 3rd, 2020, but I believe they just posted it not too long ago. The executive summary to ensure the integrity and mitigate the risk of financial loss. SBA should ensure that loans are provided to eligible applicants in a timely manner, okay? The borrowers must meet the eligibility requirements, and that is has experienced or well-trained personnel to provide appropriate assistance and handle the increased loan volume and expediting processing timeframes. This whole entire document, there's only one point that I agree with. But I'm not a government official, okay? I'm on the receiving end. So SBA's disaster loan programs suffer increased vulnerability to fraud and unnecessary losses when loan transactions are expedited to provide quick relief and sufficient controls are not in place. The expected increase in loan volume and amounts and expedited processing timeframes will place additional stress on existing controls. Therefore, it is important to provide SBA with risk information from prior audits and inspections related to increased loan volumes and amount processed and expedited. As of April 1st, SBA received more than 94,000 COVID-19 EIDL applications. SBA received only 32,000 businesses and nonprofit applications, some which contain an EIDL component, and almost 8,000 applicants for Hurricane Harvey, Irma, Maria. SBA oversight of loan application will be unprecedentedly stretched as a result of the increased loan volume and expedited timeframes. I don't know where they got the 94,000 from. Maybe they were talking about just that one day. I noticed in this whole document, they pull out specific examples, but in the whole grand scheme of things, to me, they're non-valid, okay? So they go on, this next section is called prior audit findings. A lack of repayment ability and credit worthiness. Okay, remember, some of you are getting the denial letter of lack of or unsatisfactory credit history. Our audit work found that SBA issued EIDLs and non-EIDLs without fully vetting borrowers' credit or their ability to repay the loans, without full evaluations of the borrower's credit and their current financial situation. Well, hello, our current financial situation, the government shut us down. We have zero financial situation. We're not making any money, okay? So that's why this loan program exists. I think, to me, this is a bunch of crock of BS. The risk of default on these loans increases. Specifically, 13 CFR 123.6 requires there must be reasonable assurance that a borrower can repay their loan based on SBA analysis of their credit or their personal or business cash flows, and they must also have satisfactory character. 13 CFR does not read as that. It does say about credit worthiness. It specifically says there must be a reasonable assurance that you can repay your loan on SBA analysis of your credit or your business cash flow. You must also have satisfactory character. SBA will not make a loan to you if repayment depends on the sale of collateral. That means you can't be going out of business. Prior to COVID-19, you can't be going out of business. A foreclosure or any disposition of assets owned by you. SBA is prohibited by statute from making a loan to you if you engage in the production or distribution of any product or services that's been determined to be obscene by the court. Can anybody tell me what is determined obscene by the court? I guess you can't be a marijuana facility, maybe. You can't be a stripper. I'm trying to, what is obscene by the court? If anybody know what is obscene by the court or viewed as obscene by the court, please let me know. Maybe it's gambling. I'm not for sure. Gambling facilities. I'm not for sure where they're going with that. Anyway, so if you're, that's what CFR, your current financial situation. I hate when they say, they use the term current financial situation. Your current financial situation is null and void because you don't have any money. You haven't been selling anything. And we're going to get to that because they mentioned some person that was in Hurricane Sandy, they received a loan. So we'll get to that. In this report, we found the overall default rate of Hurricane Sandy loans were relatively low when compared to loans made in other disasters. In 17 of the 21 loans received, the Office of Disaster Assistance approved loans without verifying the borrower's eligibility or approved loans to borrowers who lacked creditworthiness or repayment ability. Due to the significance of the errors in the areas of creditworthiness, the repayment ability reprojected our results to the universe of early defaulted loans. So they're not saying that these people defaulted. They're just predicting, oh, they're going to default. Okay. As a result, we estimated at least 360 of the 501 early defaulted loans totaling of 4.3 million were not approved accordingly to SBA or federal requirements. So they're saying that they estimated 361 loans, they didn't evaluate it properly. And these are the loans that were defaulted. 4.3 million. They didn't say out of what, though. You crying over 4.3 million. This is why I have a problem with the SBA. Well, one of the reasons. You give, I think the average student loan debt is probably like 25 or 30,000. These are kids that just finished high school. You give them a loan over a period of 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years. If they go to graduate school, you give them even more money. The max amount that you could borrow for a student loan, federal student loan, is I think it's 100,000. They capped it at 100,000. But I mean, you're giving kids money in hope that they could get a job and pay that loan back. And most of these kids can't find a job in their field to pay that loan back. Or they're a low wage worker, so they can't afford, the federal government payment, the student loan federal payment. So you invest in these kids, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars in a kid. And when someone open a business, you have a hard time. You don't even run their credit. You just give them the loan and then slap a 6.75 interest rate. I think it's lower now because of the economy, but a 6.75 when I was going to school, the interest rate on a loan was 7%. So that is my problem. You won't give a responsible adult 25 grand, but you'll give a kid that probably never managed a bill in their life $25,000. So they could be a slave to the lender, make the minimum payments, and they'll pay it off in 30 years. Or some of them go in forbearance forever. Or most of them are defaulted. I don't have the numbers. If you know the numbers for defaulted loans, student loans, let me know. So you're crying over $4.3 million, the SBA. I know they said, one of my sister-in-law, she was like, yeah, it is a business. They're a business. It's a governmental business. Only reason why they have the monies to let people borrow is because you pay taxes, That's the only reason why the government has money is because you as a taxpayer pay taxes. That's the main reason. So they're crying over $4.3 million over this Hurricane Sandy that happened in 2016. Okay. Then they go on to say they mention evaluation of principal repayment ability for Hurricane Sandy business in 2015. This document is linked in my description section, and you can read these other separate reports because they have them hyperlinked. This report found that loan officers did not have guidance for performing the financial analysis to determine whether Hurricane Sandy business loan applicants had repayment ability. SBA Standard Operating Procedures 537 stated, for business loans, we determine repayment ability by the results of financial analysis performed on the business. The standard SOP, however, provided no additional guidance regarding how to perform an analysis. So they're saying that SBA doesn't have a proper standard operating procedure. The standard SOP, however, did not provide no additional guidance regarding how to perform the financial analysis. In the absence of this guidance, loan officers use inconsistent methodologies when evaluating Hurricane Sandy business loans for repayment ability. We estimated the SBA provided at least 537 hurricane disaster loans, totaling of $7.9 million without sufficiently considering principals' living expenses when determining repayment ability. Therefore, SBA did not have reasonable assurance that the borrowers had repayment ability. And these loans were at higher risk of default. Do you guys believe this? Can you give me some hardcore evidence? When you publish a paper, okay, they're higher risk, but did they actually default? I mean, they're not saying that. They're not saying that in the business. I mean, in this. If someone's in the loan industry, if they're watching, I'm going to look this up. I'm pretty sure when they estimate give out loans, on an average, a certain percent will default. You're not batting 100 or you're not batting 500, I think it is. So you're not hitting home runs all the time. Some people will default. Some people in this unknown time will be defaulted. Some people, they took so long to give them back or give them a loan, they might just be paying off their debt and they probably close up shop. That's going to happen. And I think for the government to say we want all our money back, that's not realistic. That is not realistic for the federal government to say, oh, I want all my money back. But as a business, you're not going to get, I have people still owing me for stuff. And I could be a BITCH and go to the city court and ask for my money. You know, I could do that. But this is the cost of doing business. So for them to say, oh, we had a 10% default, we need to really be realistic here. You are going to default. Some people will default on their loans. And that is just being realistic. Now listen to this. This really pisses me off. We also find the SBA issued EIDLs and non-EIDLs to businesses that did not suffer an economic loss or business outside the time frame of the disaster. I'm really teed off by this. Okay, so those people that said, "Oh, I got denied because my business did not suffer, or I failed to prove that my business did not suffer economic loss during a disaster." This is the reason why, because of this paper. SBA must ensure it provides COVID-19 related EIDLs to eligible businesses that have suffered economic loss through the pandemic. Specifically stated in, they rambling off a section of a code, 13 CFR 123.303. State applicants must only use EID proceed for working capital necessary to carry the applicant until normal operation presumed for expenditures necessary to alleviate the specific economic injury. For one example, a report found that the borrower received $384,000 loan, but did not demonstrate the business had experienced an economic loss. In fact, a review on the file showed that the borrower experienced increase in sale following the disaster. Now, I'm not rocket science here. You're telling me that this business shouldn't have got a loan because their sales increased after the disaster? But during the disaster, they lost money So now they're doing good. They shouldn't have got the loan. Wouldn't you want the business to do good? Am I misinterpreting this? Someone let me know. It says the disaster credit management system records did not contain adequate supporting documentation to substantiate the remaining financial needs, which SBA used to justify its approval. Therefore, the report concluded that the business did not experience an economic loss and was ineligible for the eidl loan. You know what? I think that's unfortunate that SBA, supposed to be Small Business Administration, in this Inspector General Hannibal Mike Ware. Somebody need to call. It's unfortunate that they don't know how businesses work. You know what I'm saying? That's where I was getting at. It's unfortunate that they cited this particular business and they said, oh, you didn't suffer economic, so you don't need a loan. Well, what happened to the months where I was shut down? This is the only thing I agree with. So they said, in summary, key points to remember when administering EIDLs. In summary, to ensure program integrity and mitigate the risk of financial loss, SBA must ensure that the loans are timely provided to eligible applicants, the borrowers meet all the eligibility requirements, and that it has experienced or well-trained personnel to provide appropriate assistance, and handle the increased loan volume and expedited processing time frame. So if you were one of those people, you got denied because you did not experience economic disaster, or I read some people were approved then denied because of their repayment ability or lack of credit worthiness, or whatever the case may be. This is the reason why, because of this audit or lesson learned from audits and inspections. Okay, so I am sending all my good to you. Hopefully that shedded some light on the things that we're experiencing. And I will talk to you guys later.